morning, everybody. Hey, glad to be back this third Saturday morning in July. My name is Ed Samuel. I'm a career coach with a firm called Sam Nova. We're based in Kennett Square, Pennsylvania, and serve clients in the greater Philadelphia area and across the USA. You know, this morning, we're going to discuss one of the challenges people face while going through a job loss and that period of time when people are searching, for that next job or even that career. And that challenge has to do with really getting down on yourself and fighting off what commonly is called depression. And it starts to creep in and in some cases can overwhelm people. And as a career coach, I literally talk to hundreds of people a year going through transition, and I've seen this type of depression creep in. And it can be devastating at times, especially when people are not expecting a job loss. And for some people, they might be at it for 3 months, 6 months, a year. Some people I've talked to, I've met for the first time. They've been unemployed and still looking for a job after 2 years. So this morning, I thought it would be good to talk to a well-respected certified life coach and friend of mine. Her name's Liz Brown. Liz is the owner of Be Well Life Coaching, and based in Greenville, Delaware. And Liz serves clients in the region and across the U.S. And I know Liz, she helps professionals, college students, and people who really face transition as part of their personal and professional development. She specializes in helping those with ADHD and people recovering from addiction. Liz excels at helping teens and adults move into a positive direction and overcome obstacles that have been a source of struggle for some time. She holds a host of certifications in health and wellness, ADHD, addiction recovery coaching. Liz is also a certified career direct consultant. I know she speaks frequently on the topic of work-life balance across the region, and I've been blessed to hear her speak at several small business forums over the last year. So, Liz, so good to have you here with us this morning.
Thanks, Ed. I'm very excited to be here.
Liz, before we get too much into things, can you just kind of explain to the listeners, why you became a life coach and maybe a little bit about yourself and your journey?
Well, it was interesting. I started out of college in an entirely different field. I was in insurance, and then I was in banking, and I liked them, and I certainly felt like I did a good job when I was in those fields, but it wasn't my passion. I ended up staying home with my 4 children, but started to work part-time. And part of what came out of that was I'm sort of a self-described gym rat, and I like to work out. So I was at the YMCA, and they said, if you're going to be here this much, why don't you come and teach with us? I actually picked up my certifications in teaching classes there. And then they asked me if I would move on to teach some workshops on how to make positive changes in your life, which I did. And I really liked that. So when I was looking to transition back into full-time work, when my children became more independent, I took a career assessment, and it showed that something like coaching would be a good fit for me. Based on that, I went back to school, got a certification through the International Coaching Federation, and opened my business. I really enjoy what I do. I came into some of the certifications because of personal experiences and having limited resources for people in the community who have ADHD or are, in addiction recovery, or people looking to make a lot of other changes. I think coaching is a great way for people to identify what they want and move toward it. And I enjoy doing that with people.
Great. So you're a classic example of somebody who went through their own career transformation. What was your degree, by the way, in college?
I was actually an English major, so none of my careers have anything to do with my major.
So you're one of those that high percentage that has graduated from college that did not stay in their major field. Well, Liz, can you explain a little bit about, what is a life coach? How do you go about what you do and what you don't do? You just could kind of give us an overview.
So coaching is a bit different than therapy, and I think people are often confused about that. Coaches, we generally help someone who is looking to make some positive change in their life. They may be in a transition. They may be have a habit they want to change. It may be that they're feeling pretty good, but they think they could feel better. So we look at their lives and figure out, okay, let's look at the different areas, kind of rank them, see how you feel. And then if there's places to improve, we help them improve. Therapy is more focused on maybe someone who has a trauma, who has something that's causing them to have issues with their emotions at this time. It could also be, some kind of a mental disability. So it's more of looking back, whereas coaching, we're looking at what's happening now and how to help someone move forward.
Liz, I know you talk to a lot of people, especially in that 20 to 30 year range, about getting stuck in their life. So what types of things do you do to get people unstuck? Because that comes up often, I understand. That's
a great question. And I do work with a lot of young people in that category. And it seems like there's more and more in the 20 to 30 age range that are feeling a little bit stuck. What we do is generally they come in and we look at what's gone well and what is not going well right now. And through that, come up with some kind of a plan of what they would like to be doing. Then through some assessing, maybe doing the career direct assessment or some other kind of strength-based assessment, figuring out what your strengths are, and then create a plan that has actionable steps with accountability that they can move through slowly, but they will experience long-lasting change if they stick with the steps and then create habits. And usually once someone gets out of that initial rut, then they get rolling and move forward pretty quickly, whether it's getting back into school or getting a job or improving a relationship, or maybe all of those things. But a lot of times it's just having someone to talk to who's not their parent, who has perspective and can help them, sort of sort through what's going on for them.
Liz, I mentioned earlier, I meet with a lot of people who many times they lost their job suddenly. And in some cases, it's without warning, and it could be on a Friday, it could be on a Monday, and the next thing you know, they're walking to their car and they're very unemployed. And other people, have been unemployed for quite some time, and they need a coach. And it takes this emotional toll, or they need help, and it takes this emotional toll. How do you go about helping those people when it's a sudden job loss, or they've been at it for a while? Is there anything that you do unique to that group of people to help them?
Well, with that group of people, we look at a few things. First, we look at whether they had the depression prior to the job loss and it was something that maybe contributed to it. And if that's the case, it's important for them to go to therapy and have some kind of treatment plan with a therapist, maybe resolve the issues that are underlying, and maybe include medication, maybe not. But for those people who were feeling okay up into the job loss, they're really experiencing a grief process. And it's important for people to understand that even though it's not a loss of a loved one, it's a loss of your job. It's a loss of something you've been going to day after day. And a lot of times it's a loss of your friends and the people that you've been, seeing every day. So what is important in that case is to, one, acknowledge that and have people understand that that's normal. There's nothing to be ashamed of in that process. And then to help them create some steps that will work in their self-care It may be journaling. It may be, prayer. It could be talking to other people, taking time to get out in nature, walking, a lot of physical movement. Those kind of things will help people process the grief, because grief can sneak up and it's not just sadness. It's also anger. It can be resentment. It can be denial, bargaining. And if someone gets stuck in that where they're so angry or so resentful or so sad that they can't even think about moving forward, it's tough. So another piece is to help them vision what it would be like when they have a new job and to move forward, looking at the future, knowing that right now it's a sad time, it's a hard time, but it's not permanent and it's not going to last, and that there are ways to improve the situation and to just keep going, but to also be very cognizant that they have to double down on their self-care. It's not a time to stay up all night and, eat junk food. They have to really take care and act like they're still in the routine. And the one other piece is get out and get social support, whether it's from volunteer work or, going to your church or to another community group, just to have that level of camaraderie with people. And the last thing is to go out and have some fun, because if people get stuck and they don't do anything that they enjoy doing, it just makes them feel worse. So it's kind of multi-leveled, but I think any of those tools would help someone.
What I heard you say is that whatever you do, don't sit in front of a terminal applying for jobs for 8 hours a day, and then go to eat junk food afterwards. That's not what I heard you say. It said that you have to create some balance.
Absolutely. It's important to work, with your job, search plan, and to focus on that, but also then to balance it with the self-care, with the relationships, with everything else that will make you feel like getting out of bed in the morning. The last thing you want to see is someone who says, I can't even get out of bed in the morning. And then, that's just going to become a problem that's pervasive.
I think you alluded to it, but, when you're talking to someone, how do you know if technically they are depressed, where they're either having a bad week or a bad month or a bad period versus, these are deeper symptoms and it requires even more help?
It's a bit of a judgment call, and I always err on the side of, if I feel that the person might be more clinically depressed, immediately have them go see their family doctor. And there's some questions that you can ask. How long have you felt this way? Are you sleeping? Are you eating? Are you getting out of bed? Are you doing, normal things? If they're not, and it's been more than a day or so, then that's time to go and talk to your doctor, who may be able to help you with some either medication or talk therapy. It's also important for people, if they feel just a little down, to get out and exercise, because exercise has been shown to have the same effect as an antidepressant in many cases. So it's something to try as a first option. But at times people are, too depressed to even do that. And at that point, they really should seek medical attention.
So it's a case-by-case basis, and it just really depends then.
It's a case-by-case. And I think also if you begin to talk to someone about their job search or their loss of their job, and they can sort of then come out feeling better, generally it's just they need to talk to someone, and it's a situational, they're just sad. But if it's something where it's got them where they're not living their life, they're not able to move forward in any way, then that's more of a clinical depression, and they need medical treatment.
Liz, when you're talking to someone and over a period of time, what are some of the really specific disorders that you might uncover? We talked about depression. What are the other disorders that you come across?
Well, there's several different things, and since I'm not a doctor, I don't diagnose people, but I may notice some things and then suggest that a client go see the appropriate doctor. So sometimes I will see someone with ADHD symptoms and have them go and get a diagnosis. Many people come in as self-diagnosed with ADHD, and if they need any kind of extra support, it's important for them to go and get that diagnosis. Other times you may see anxiety. And if it's something where maybe some mindfulness or other stress relief techniques will work, we'll try that. But if it's something where they need additional support, then again, it's important for them to go see their doctor. I work a lot of times with people who are working with a doctor, and we work together to help them from both sides of it, both the medical side and then the stress relief coaching side.
So you could have a client then that, let's say somebody loses their job, but maybe they're in depression, or maybe they have some other disorder. So you'll work with possibly their therapist, a psychiatrist, a medical doctor. You kind of create this kind of circle.
Yes, that's often the case where we will work sort of as a team, and the client will have full control over who can talk to who. But many times I do that where I will work with someone's psychiatrist or their medical doctor or their therapist, so that we're all on the same page and we're all working in the best interest of the client to get them to the place that they want to be faster than if they were just working with one person.
Gotcha. So if somebody wants to engage you, hey, I think I want to go talk to a life coach. What are some of the steps? What can they expect, the initial steps to be, and what does that process look like over time, Liz?
For when someone is interested in, working with a coach or with me, what I do is I offer them a complimentary session. We sit together for about an hour, maybe a little bit longer, and discuss what they need, where they are in their life, look at all the different areas of life, and decide together whether it's a good fit. If coaching is the right fit for them, then we will start to work together, and that would include maybe some assessment, and maybe not, but basically we want to look at what their goals are, how they want to be accountable, and then we create awareness around it, because often what people don't have when they try to do something themselves is perspective. And through the coaching process of asking the right questions, people will gain enough awareness to break through the obstacles that they've sort of had for a long time. We will then we'll create a plan and we'll create actionable steps. And then at the next meeting, we'll see how it went. If it went well, that's great. We go to the next step. But if it didn't, then we have to look at what came up and how to make some adjustments so that they can keep going. Accountability is very important. And I even have clients who text me every day telling me, thumbs up, thumbs down, I did it. And if there's too many thumbs down in a row, then we'll hop on the phone and talk about how to change the strategy so they don't go too long without making change.
Well, how long does your average client last? Is it you have clients that last 3 months, 6 months, 2 years? How does that work?
It varies. Sometimes I will work with a student for a semester. Other times I will work with someone for a short-term goal, and it could be a 2-month relationship. And then I've had clients that have stayed with me for several years because once they reach one goal, they want to work on another. And we will stretch the length of the time between the sessions out. So maybe they'll only come in every month or every other month, but we'll stay in contact. And I think it's a very useful tool to have someone there to support you when you need it. And, most people who make one change then are ready to make another. So it can just sort of snowball. But at the same time, I've had people I've worked with for a month or two and they get where they want to go and we're done.
Gotcha. So can you maybe share a success story about someone maybe at the age of 30 where you'd help them get, unstuck or back on track?
I worked with a young woman about a year ago, and she was very frustrated because she had to move back to her parents' house after she had lived independently for several years. She had had a bad relationship. Her job wasn't where she wanted it to be. Her spending habits had gotten her into a lot of debt, so she had to go back home, and that was a challenge. So when I started to work with her, she was very resistant to come in, but she did, as long as what we talked about was between the two of us and not really bringing her parents into it, which is something that I have to talk to everyone about at the beginning. Over the course of the year or so, she started to gain a lot of awareness, and she created a budget and stuck to it. I helped her get a certification that she needed to move forward with her job. So she ended up getting a better job, and she entered into a very healthy relationship and knew what her flags were so that she didn't go down the same path she had gone before. And when she kind of graduated, it was really exciting because she was so happy, and she's at such a better place in her life. And I miss her because it was such a pleasure working with her. But it's almost like seeing your child move on in a positive direction.
Wonderful. How about another success story? Maybe somebody closer to 50.
Yeah, so I worked with someone in their 50s who was looking at that, typical transition of their teenagers moving into college, the empty nest. This particular person had she had a job that she liked. She liked the job. She didn't like the environment. And she came to me to lose weight. And what we found out that it was everything but the weight that we worked on, because she needed to clear a lot of other obstacles. So as we worked together, it helped her see that one of the biggest things that she needed to do was take care of herself, have some fun, learn to work through the struggles in her relationship with her husband, which she did. And now they are very happy in their empty nest. And she has found a new job in a different environment. And she's really looking forward to the future in this next phase of her life.
Wow. Liz, I could talk to you for a lot longer, but we're just about out of time. What's the best way for someone to reach you?
If someone wants to reach me, they can go through my website, which is bewelllifecoaching.com. I also have a button there to schedule a complimentary session, or they could call me, which is 302-584-5521. And I love talking to people, and, anyone can call me and we can get on the phone and discuss what they need. And sometimes they only need a 10-minute conversation and they're on their way.
Wonderful. Well, Liz, thanks for coming in, and love to have you back again and talk about some more success stories. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Ed. It was my pleasure.
Well, we're wrapping up now, and please join us again on the next Optimize Your Career program. That will be on Saturday, August 3rd. Our guest will be Greg Plum, Director of Marketing for an IT staffing firm called Brandywine Technologies. Greg will be talking to us about the importance of leveraging your network to safeguard your career. This is Ed Samuel, Career Coach with Sam Nova. Our website is www.samnovainc.com. That's SAMNOVAINC.com. Or you can reach me by phone at 610-274-8214. Make it a great weekend. So long for now, and God bless.